And we're going to go on with our first reel of the names up for 7-minute presentations. We'll do the first two. So here we go for Fruit Machine. First up we have Anthony and Max. And while they're preparing, second up we shall have Wayne, please.
Hi everybody, I'm Max Wainwright from 2Simple. I'm an ex-teacher. I've got to be honest, I haven't been teaching for a while, but we got asked along tonight to talk to you about some of the things that teachers are doing with 2DIY. We also want to show you something new and exciting we've got using augmented reality. And for those of you that have seen a video of me wearing a strange webcam attached to my head looking like a Dalek crossed with a board, Anthony is going to recreate that moment for us tonight. Very briefly, years and years ago when I was a teacher, I found that a lot of the software we had available wasn't quite simple enough and easy enough for kids to be using. So we started making creative tools that allow kids to create things like stories, pictures, multimedia, way back in 2000. A couple of years ago, we became aware there was a big gap missing in what we were doing, and we weren't giving kids the chance to create their own games as well as actually things like that. So we brought out 2DIY. What we want to just briefly show you some of the things that schools have been doing with it. So let's hope we've got a projection. Brilliant, thank you. Very briefly, I'm just going to show you a couple of things that people have been doing with it. For those of you that don't know much about it, very briefly, loads of things you can make with 2DIY, from these kind of activities where you dress teddy bears to jigsaws, right through to more exciting things like games like this. And platform games, which have been, to be honest, the most popular things. We've got driving games people have been working on as well. Some of my favourite stuff is things that we've had been done by really young kids. There's some reception kids in Fleet School in Camden that have been doing some really lovely games. And what really appeals to me about these is they've made them very much in the way that they would just draw pictures. There's a game here about, I think this is the Gruffalo game. I might have got a different one. No, this is one about a bear, sorry. This is about honey collecting. Basically, we've got our bear, you can see moving around the corner of the screen here. We've got to collect all the honey. We've got to watch out for the bees. And if we do all that, we get 10 points. If we don't, we get attacked by the bees, and that is the end of our bear. So a very simple way that we've got some 10-year-old kids, some reception kids creating their own games very, very simply. There's been quite a move on from that recently. We've had lots more going on, and I think some of you may not have been aware of what a guy called Simon Widdowson, a teacher in Nottingham, I think, has been doing. And basically what he's done, he's actually created a website supporting people who are creating their own action scripts, where we've got loads of kids that are going beyond just what the normal capabilities of the game are, and are actually creating their own action script to become real programmers themselves. I'm going to just quickly pass you over to Anthony, who's going to tell us a little bit more about how some of that's been taking place.
Okay, folks, bear with me a second. One of the things I do at 2Simple is I write the blog, and the joke for a while was that's all I did, but trust me, I do a lot more than that. And it is true. One of the projects we've been involved with recently has been joining two schools together via Skype and having those Year 6 kids in those junior and primary schools teach each other some of the more advanced options of 2DIY that Simon Widdowson covers in a kind of geeky way on his blog. We've been linking those two schools up together, and what they've done is taught each other how to do things like power-ups, how to do teleporting through the means of action scripts, which is quite exciting. The other thing I find quite exciting is that when I was as an advisor back in Redbridge as a blog, I felt like I had my own voice as a blogger, but now it took me a while within 2Simple to find my own blogging voice, and I feel like I found it now with some rather daring posts. Some of them, like the one I just posted up there Friday night, was, for our new website, what should it look like? And it's quite brave of us as a company to kind of throw that question out and take that feedback back, and also say, if you'd like to write a post in our blog, go for it, warts and all. And that's really helped us to move on. The other thing about 2DIY is this. If you get a copy of 2DIY, you'll see a fish on the front cover. Anybody know why that's there? I certainly didn't. I had to ask Max, why have we got a fish on there? Why not a dog? Why not a teddy? And it goes back to that metaphor, that story of if you give a man a fish, he'll be okay for a day. He'll have his lunch, okay. But if you teach a man to fish, he's going to have that skill for life. And I think that's really true of TU DIY. We're teaching kids to be games creators rather than just games consumers. But if we bring that back to me, okay, one of the things I wanted to do is I would like to have made my own Simple City on my own 2DIY program for 2Simple, and I've been given the chance to do that with something called Purple Mash, which is a new project we've been launching just over the last few weeks, which has things that you can subscribe to and use, but also, if you just came across it on an internet search, you could use some of these tools for free. This is one that I created just the other week, where you can design your own game box, bring in your picture from a set of photos, okay? And let's say that was a game about the Sea Fairy. You can bring in the Sea Fairy. Have you all played the Sea Fairy game? Trust me, it's very good. And also you could bring in, you know, there would be the big dinosaur in the middle of the sea. The great thing about this is the skill of being able to fish. And basically what Max did is he made a tool, he showed me how to use that tool, and I've just made lots of other templates. We're now passing on to other teachers and organisations all around the country. They can go off and make their own mash. Max, what's coming next?
How long have we got left? 2 minutes. Okay, I'm just going to show you two very quick things. One of them is, if you do go on Purple Mash, basically what you have got is some new game screens where you can create games that run fully online. And one I'm going to show you just briefly, it's a bit like a simulation. What you can do, you can draw a road, and we can put a car on the road, and basically the car will travel around the road doing all sorts of things that we tell it to. Haven't got time to draw a very good car, that's my excuse. So here we go, put some wheels on it, and we've now got our own 2.5D simulation environment. I can add the cars on here, and I can drive it around using the keyboard if I get it in the right place. The last thing though, and we talked briefly about things like DIY, what we could do with that. One of the most exciting things I think we've seen come along recently has been augmented reality. And we thought, what would it be like if rather than driving a car around the screen, we could actually drive it around on the floor? So Anthony's going to stand over here, and he's going to point his webcam down at the floor. So let's see if we've got enough wire to do that. I'm just going to put this my wallet on the floor here. And what we're going to do is see if we can get our car to drive around that. So if Anthony can just keep his head still, let's point it at the floor. Now you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, we've got what the AR is seeing. Over here, we've got what we're just seeing. And you can see my car can move around on the white. When it gets to the black stuff, like my wallet, the wallet is in the way. As I move it out of the way, I can actually drive through that space now. So what you can do is create a game where you can drive around on top of your desktop and actually interact with the real world. If you were to draw, if I had a pen, I could draw on the map. I could add all sorts of things on that. That's where we're going with DIY. Thanks for listening, guys. Thank you.